Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. So yesterday the AAG won, and before we look at the trucks for today, I want to say something real quick. I got an email today from someone, I won't call you out here, asking me to make sure the truck is fine, check this, check if this is good, check if that's good and whatnot. First of all, that's not my job. Secondly, you've had 2 weeks to send in your truck, and you chose to send it in after 2 days, and then I heard nothing from you all that time, and now that the competition started, you want me to check this and check that, and I did it this once as an exception. I'll make an exception this time, but for the future, please, and this goes to everyone, please make sure that your truck is fine before you send it in, or your car for the next competition anyway, because that is the reason why I set a 2-week deadline. You get 2 weeks in order to build your truck, make sure it's as good as you can make it, and make sure it's all working. After you've made sure that all of this is the case, then you can send it in. All right. So sorry for being sorry for that rant there, but now let's get into the trucks. So we have the ALTC Merson by Stale Mahoney. We have the Avant Wanderer, which was sent in by Norum96, and then we have the Halpin CrossFit Mark 1, which was sent in by Animated Gaming. All right. So this truck, we have a AHS steel leather chassis, corrosion resistant steel panels, 4x4 drivetrain, 6-speed automatic, double wishbones up front and solid axle coil springs on the rear. And it's a 10-liter V8 with modern pushrod, making 425 horsepower. So let's check out that massive engine. Modern overhead valve, so that's modern pushrod. We got ALSI block and head, billet steel crank, I-beam steel conrods, forged pistons, 21 cam profile. Yeah, so this is about as low end, about as much low end torque as you're gonna get. And 8.5:1 compression ratio. Naturally aspirated, of course, multi-point EFI, twin configuration, standard intake. And 15:1 fuel mixture, so very lean. Then again, if you would run it any richer, it would be even more difficult to only make 425 horsepower from this, remember, 10-liter V8. Long tubular headers, 2 reverse flow mufflers, and an exhaust diameter that is purposely too small, again to reduce airflow and make less peak power and make more low-end torque. So let's see. Automatic locker, not the greatest choice for drivability, but it is pretty good for acceleration, which doesn't matter that much here, but it's okay. Hard long life road tires, 19-inch steel rims on 275s all around, 6 piston vented discs up front, 1 piston vented discs on the rear. And he worked a little bit with the pad types as well. Slightly more comfortable up front than on the rear. And then we have a fully clad under tray, 5 seats, luxury interior, luxury sat nav, all driver assists, +2 quality in interior and entertainment. And then we have hydro-pneumatic springs and the highest possible ride height. So the roll angle on this is actually not that bad because the springs and dampers are quite stiff. So that gives us a drivability of 62.9, comfort of 67.8, which is really good. 53.1 prestige is very good as well. And the practicality is 75.8, which is great. 86.4 utility is also like really good. And let's see how much this thing costs. 58,050, so it's relatively close to the limit, but dude, these stats are amazing. Like the fact that it combines I can't speak today. 67.8 comfort and 53.1 prestige with this much utility and practicality. I think this is pretty much exactly what this challenge was about. Like even the economy isn't that bad. It's about what we've seen from the other trucks so far. So yeah, very strong entry, I think. So let's check out the Avant Wanderer. That's an interesting design, if I do say so myself. Where's the main headlights? Because this sort of LED strip, you wouldn't see that as a sort of main headlight array arrangement in 2006. Like, it's probably not what you'd see on a 2006 truck, but you know, let's look at the rear end. This is pretty standard though. Nice chrome. And let's see what's underneath. Steel leather chassis, corrosion resistant steel panels, 4x4, 7-speed automatic, double wishbones up front, leaf springs on the rear. And then we have 396 horsepower from a 6-liter twin-turbo V6. I think that's the first twin-turbo V6 we're seeing, so let's check that out. 5 valves per cylinder, aluminum block and head, and I-beam steel crown rods, low friction cast pistons for better fuel economy. I don't think those were really that necessary because fuel efficiency isn't that much of a priority on this kind of challenge. Much more so is low RPM torque, and if we look at 2000 RPM, you know, 390 pound-feet is not bad, but you know, the fact that it makes, you know, basically no torque before that, that's a little suboptimal. So 33 cam profile, pretty big turbine size. You could probably decrease that a little bit. Performance intake, throttle per cylinder configuration, 14.4 to 1 fuel mixture, 4900 RPM limit. Can you really not rev this thing higher? Apparently the pistons are gonna make problems above that. Then again, they are low friction cast pistons. Forged pistons would probably be fine. 2 reverse flow mufflers, as you would expect. And now let's check out the rest of this car. 7-speed automatic, electric limited slip diff, extremely short gearing, 195mm front tires, 215s on the rear, 20-inch steel rims. Now that's a pretty curious tire setup. I mean, you would probably want some more tire profile in order to increase comfort some more, because with 20-inch rims on this small of a tire profile, you would see that on a supercar, and again a supercar would have wider tires, but on a truck, you know, this is really gonna make for, you know, more tire noise and, you know, just a less smooth ride and everything. So this is not the way you want to go, in my opinion. 6 piston vented discs up front, 2 piston vented discs on the rear, semi-clad under tray, way more cooling than you need, and then luxury interior and luxury sat nav, all driver assists and free quality in this section as well, and standard safety. And then we get hydro pneumatic springs and 60.8 drivability, which is actually not that bad for a turbocharged engine. 60.4 comfort is a bit on the lower side though. I think that's the lowest we've seen so far. Prestige is a little bit below average as well, although it's not that bad. And then we get safety of 59.3, which is slightly lower than average as well. Practicality is good at 78.7, utility is good at 77.8. Economy is better than I think any other truck we've seen so far. Does that really matter? And I'm not so sure, but let's see how much this car costs. 59,400. So for that price, I think that drivability and comfort are definitely below average, and practicality and utility aren't so good that I think it would put it above other cars we've seen. Like, this car costs the same as the AAG Canyonero of last episode, which had pretty similar practicality and utility, but it had much better drivability and comfort. So I don't think this is a very strong entry. But let's check out the other entry for today, the Halpin CrossFit. Okay, so we've seen this body before on the Forge from last episode, and I kind of like it. Very like adequate styling, I think, and pretty simple taillights and, you know, quad exhaust setup, but it works. Looks just fine. We got AHS steel leather chassis, corrosion resistant steel panels, rear-wheel drive, 6-speed automatic, double wishbones up front, multi-link rear suspension, and then 425 horsepower coming from a 4-liter turbocharged straight 6. Oh, that's a sharp spike in torque. It's a full aluminum 4-liter straight 6, 5 valves per cylinder, and then we have forged steel crank, IBM steel crown rods, forged pistons, 46 cam profile, a large water-to-air intercooler, and 1 bar of max boost. Looking pretty average here on the compressor and turbine size, but the fact that this turbo only fully spools up at 2400 RPM, which would be good on like a sports car or a, you know, sports sedan or a large sedan or just generally any performance car, that would be good. But on a truck you really want that, you know, really low RPM torque for, you know, towing heavy things and whatnot. And remember, at the end of the day, what we're building in this challenge are still trucks, just with, you know, big torquey engines and nice interiors. But at the end of the day, they're still trucks. So we get multi-point EFI, single configuration, performance intake, 13.1 to 1 fuel mixture, and then a red line of 6,000. 2 reverse flow mufflers. 472 pound-feet of torque is good. 425 horsepower is, you know, the max you could make for this challenge. So let's look at the rest of the car. Geared limited slip diff, 6-speed automatic, 255mm tires up front, 275s on the rear, 18-inch alloy rims and huge tire profile. So this is going to make for a really good comfort stat, I think. 4 piston vented discs up front, 3 piston vented discs on the rear. And apparently this car has a rear weight bias. Actually, no. I thought it did. I thought that was why the rear brakes were bigger than the front ones, but turns out I was wrong. Off-road skid tray, probably not really necessary, because off-road isn't really a judging criteria. 5 seats, luxury interior, luxury entertainment, all driver assists, standard safety, and hydro pneumatic springs. What a surprise. 48.5 drivability is pretty low, and that's again down to the pretty sharp increase in torque from the turbo engine. 69.1 comfort is really good though. And then prestige 50.8 is solid as well. 70.6 practicality and 62.4 utility are both pretty far below average. So this is more of a comfortable, well, car with a large loading space in the rear rather than an actual truck, if you know what I mean. Like, this is utility of 62.4. This should be quite a lot higher on a truck, and this is probably down to the multi-link rear suspension setup, which is not the best for loading capacity and, you know, utility in general. How much does this cost? 58,650. So it's between the other two that we've seen in this episode, but the low drivability, practicality and utility are definitely negative points in this one, so I wouldn't vote for it. Comfort is the best we've seen so far, I think, but this doesn't have the sort of utility that you would expect from a truck. I don't know, so my vote in this episode probably goes to the ALTC Merson, because it combines very good drivability and comfort with also very good practicality and utility. So in my opinion, this one should get the votes. It is probably the best one that we've seen in this episode. Like, yeah, almost certainly. But what do you think? Which one of these is best? Let me know in the comments, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow with another episode. Goodbye.